Hi everyone, Christina McGhee here, and I am delighted to welcome you to our Parenting Apart webinar, Two Homes, One Heart. We're going to be talking about how is it that we help kids feel connected even when they're not living with us full time. And when you spend more time away from your children than you do with them, it can make it really difficult to, feel like you're still an influence in their lives, or to really feel that connection when you're not having day-to-day contact with them, And when we're talking about those situations where there's a big difference in how time is shared between households, parents with less time tend to really get focused on the quantity, how much time they're having with kids. And there are a lot of parents that feel, quite frankly, very short-changed. When I'm talking with parents about how you create a home environment with your kids when they're not living with you full time, I ask them to make a shift in their focus. And instead of counting the time you have, make the time you have count. It's a very subtle shift, but it is really talking about moving from the amount of time, not focusing on the quantity, but really focusing on the quality of the time that you have with kids. Now, I'm not saying that there isn't value in being in the presence of one another on a consistent and regular basis, but I am talking about really not focusing on the minutes and hours of kids' day-to-day lives and looking at how you're making that time meaningful with your children. So over time, as you continue to place your energy into leveraging that time in that way, I think you'll see some pretty important changes in your relationship with your children. So before we get too far ahead of ourselves, I have a lot of information to share with you, and my goal is really to make sure that you leave something, leave this call tonight with something that's going to be very helpful and valuable to you and your kids. I want to offer a note of thanks to the Texas PTA for their ongoing support of Parenting Apart program and our webinars. The truth is that family life has diversified tremendously, and so many things are changing for families and for kids that it's really hard to keep up with all of it as a parent. I really appreciate the support that the Texas PTA has provided by exploring new ways to offer information and support to families in transition. I think that that's hugely important, especially when we're talking about kids being successful in home and in school. That partnership between the two is really, really essential. And so I applaud the PTA for their help in strengthening that relationship. So let's take a few minutes to talk about what is it that we're actually going to cover this evening. Marriage is considered a legal contract, and that's exactly why the family courts become involved when we decide to uncouple. Unfortunately, throughout the decades, what has happened is that those legal concepts, those legal terms, have kind of slowly filtered in to how we redefine family life with our children. And some of those concepts can be incredibly damaging and really undermine that healthy parent-child relationship. So we are going to talk about, one of the big offenders in my book is the visitation issue, when we use words like visit and visitation. And we're going to spend some time talking about how is that actually translated to kids and what are the benefits to moving away from that idea. When we talk about helping kids feel connected and respected, well, part of making your household feel like a home, involves developing that connection and helping everyone feel a sense of belonging and important, which has a lot to do with respect. It's especially important if you're talking about blending families and you have kids from different households joining and merging together. What are some ideas and ways, things that you need to keep at the top of your list in order to make that happen? I'll be sharing some ideas with you about that. When it comes to structure and discipline, shorter periods of time plus shuffling kids back and forth between mom's house and dad's house can make providing structure and discipline a real challenge. However, it's not impossible. There are things as a parent that you can do. Again, some of it means adjusting our expectations, keeping in mind what's within our control and what isn't. And so I will spend some time talking about that. What What are some creative ways that you can handle developing structure and discipline with your kids? Well, all biggies when we talk about helping kids feel connected and respected, we need to change how we talk. Avoid using the court-based language. Instead of talking about when you come for your visit, whether you're a parent that lives around the corner or states away, you know, when children are going to spend time with you, talk about our time together, your time with mom, your time with dad, in our home. Actually refer to it in that way. You want to move away of things like custody, custodial, visitation. Those are concepts, again, that we don't want to reinforce for kids. And I would really also encourage you not to use them with one another as parents. Refer to your parenting time or our parenting schedule. Because again, in order for us to really communicate those ideas to our kids in a believable way, we actually need to believe them. We need to buy into these ideas. So when we start changing our language with each other, it makes it easier for us to also introduce those concepts and maintain them with kids. Another pitfall, and this is especially relevant for situations where families are blending, you want to make sure that you are allocating one-on-one time with kids, and that one-on-one time is especially important for biological parents, biological kids. One-on-one time is so critical and so important to kids. And a lot of times when we're talking about blending families or divorce has occurred, we start spending time collectively, as a group, especially if there's more than one child. We're doing everything together, or if we have a new girlfriend or boyfriend, a new husband, a new wife, we start spending every waking hour doing everything together as a family because we're gonna make it work. Well, kids really miss out, and the truth is that even when you're a family in one home, you don't spend every waking moment together. You do have times where it's mom and son time, or daughter and dad time, where you go out and you do things together. So make sure that you're still carving out